So, being home was truly wonderful, and I remember the first morning I got out of bed um, and crawled downstairs. My wife made one of my favorite um, breakfasts, which was maple. I loved it with butter and maple syrup and some milk, and it was hot cereal and stuff. Now, one of the disadvantages about my stroke was the fact that I lost my sense of smell. Um, and the sense of smell has a lot to do with taste. So the maple was wonderful. It was one of the first things I was able to have that wasn't hospital food, and it didn't, it was not yucky basically. And I ate it, but I didn't taste it, unfortunately. It had no taste. Um, but it felt good to eat anyway. Um, Now, one of the things that's interesting about the stroke is the fatigue level was just out of the park. I mean, I got downstairs. I made sure I dressed. I put shoes on and all this type of stuff. I got downstairs. I ate my breakfast and I proceeded to go back to sleep. Um, I just wanted to lay down and sleep um, for about an hour or two, and then I got up again um, and had some lunch later on, and I went back to sleep again. The first day back from the rehab hospital was very difficult. I would eat and I would want to sleep. The energy drain from just eating or just walking or changing was astronomical. Um, but I knew that I had to get on some kind of schedule, or else I would just sleep all day long and not get anything accomplished. Luckily, um, the rehab hospital, I was given a prescription for outpatient rehabilitation. Um, Initially, my wife had stayed home from work for a few weeks where she could take me, but then um, after that, I had to be taken. But anyway, my first experience with the rehab hospital, outpatient rehab hospital, was I was introduced to several therapists. One was just a general physical therapist, and then an occupational therapist. Now, my speech was greatly improved, so I didn't have a speech therapist, but I had a cognitive therapist, in other words, a thinking therapist, that wanted to make sure that my thinking was okay. Um, what it turned out was that actually I was thinking pretty well. Um, Word problems, situations, they would ask me, um, read a passage, and then I would have to sort of not recite it, but tell the cognitive therapist or thinking therapist what the passage meant. And I did all very well with that. The physical therapist was working on my strength, in other words, my leg strength, my arm strength, as well as the occupational therapist on my hand strength, because my hand was very uncoordinated. Um, and those physical things were progressing very well. My speech was okay. I still had a lot of coughing jags. In other words, I would talk for about 2 minutes, and then my throat would get extremely fatigued, and I would start coughing. I had to be very careful how long I talked for, and how loud I talked. Eventually, the speaking improved. As you can tell, I seem to be speaking okay now, but there was moments where I had very limited amount of time I could speak. Um, but one of the biggest problems were my eyes. I couldn't focus on anything. Um, the rotation of my eyes were constant. Even with my eyes closed, my eyes were rotating. The part of my brain that controls my eye movements was shot by the stroke. It actually, the stroke damaged it significantly enough where I couldn't control my eyes. And the thing was, no one at the rehab facility, outpatient or inpatient, knew what I could do about it. Basically, didn't tell me what I could do about it. So I had to try and figure it out, what to do.